If you've got a lot of questions and would like answers about childhood sexual abuse, then this message is for you. Stay with me as I cover 25 key and common questions about just that. Hi, my name is Bruce. I'm a survivor of sexual abuse and I'm a Christian. You may not hear those two statements together all that often, especially from a male, and possibly that's even rarer in church life, of which I've been in senior leadership roles for a couple of decades. So these messages are about bringing awareness, healing and recovery to all victims of sexual abuse, but especially males. It's about going from victim to survivor to thriver. Before we get into the content, I need to advise you of my disclaimer. I am not a medical professional, but what I intend to share is what has helped me over the years. Like myself, you need to determine what you feel is helpful and suitable for you. So this message is about 25 key and common questions about childhood sexual abuse, often abbreviated as CSA. Sometimes we need to hear the plain, simple facts or statements to get clarity, to see the obvious. Sometimes asking those seemingly simple questions can also provide a clear but liberating answer. I believe these will be helpful to you if you are either a survivor or if you're wanting to better understand and support others. Question 1. It happens to a lot of people, so if it's that common, is it really that bad? Well, it's significant to the person it happened to. Question 2. If the victim is really young, does it affect them less? Any child who is a victim will be affected, regardless of their age at the time of the offence or offences. So no, being younger does not mean it affects them less than if they were older. The only exception to that would be if they were too young to remember anything. However, as an adult, learning of one's own childhood abuse can still affect the adult survivor significantly. Question 3. Does it affect children if it only happened once? Yes, only once is too much. But the more times it happened, the more the potential impact can be. Question 4. Looking back to one's abusive childhood, but now through adult eyes, what needs might the child have felt were somehow being met, even if in a perverted and abusive way? Such a child most likely feels unloved, doesn't feel acceptance, or lacks healthy physical connections and platonic intimacy. The abuse may be the only affection they received. Such children are easily targeted. Number 5. Why is it that some children are abused by many perpetrators over long periods of time? There can be several factors here, often all in play simultaneously. They can be repeated crimes of opportunity. Once damaged, a child exhibits that abuse, brokenness and vulnerability, a fact recognised by perpetrators. For the opportunistic abuser, the child's defences are already worn down. Their ability to fend off is also eroded. Number 6. If a child is abused and they think or know it's wrong, why don't they tell someone? A child often won't understand the abuse is abuse. Even if they do comprehend it's wrong, they often don't tell because there may have been threats to stay quiet, implicit or implied. They may fear not being believed. They may fear they will be told it's their fault. If it's in the family, it's even harder to tell. Number 7. Why wouldn't a child say no or try to stop it? They perhaps did and were ignored. Perhaps they were physically overpowered. They didn't understand it was wrong, so why would you stop it? Stop what? Number 8. Surely if abuse is happening in the family, others know about it. Why wouldn't that make it stop? Childhood sexual abuse and incest Its very nature is about secrecy and threats. Often multiple siblings are all abused and only discover one another's abuse years later. Number 9. Many adults or adolescents may suddenly remember or recall the abuse. Why is that? Was it real? The trauma of CSA is so great that the mind often protects itself by blocking their memories. A subsequent significant, dramatic or traumatic event can unlock those memories. Number 10. Is there a standard age that men disclose? Either in their late teens or then generally not until 30 or 40 years of age, typically because of the memory blocks or barriers that go up. Number 11. As adults, why don't victims tell others or disclose? It's personal and private. They fear being blamed through ignorance or lack of understanding. They could or do get asked things like, why didn't you stop it? The fear of, what if people don't believe me? What if they tell others? What if they treat me differently? Others may think I'll become an abuser myself. Perhaps they're not ready to tell, or they should only tell if they want to or need to. Many reasons for not disclosing. Number 12. If abused by family, what are the outcomes after disclosing to family? If a victim does disclose, they may receive support. They may receive apologies, and some may seek forgiveness from the perpetrators themselves, or just those who didn't know yet but failed to protect them, be that in the minds or in reality. Those are somewhat positives. However, you may be met with anger. You may be blamed. You may not be believed. Or you may be accused of lying and trying to cause trouble. Number 13. Do adults who were abused blame themselves for not stopping the abuse when they were a child? In almost all instances, yes. However, we need to understand we now look at abuse through adult eyes, but at the time we were not adults. Number 14. How do survivors, consciously or subconsciously, deal with the abuse or protect themselves? Many end up erecting barriers around themselves, either physically, don't touch me, or emotionally, I won't let you get too close. Sadly, this denies them of appropriate healthy physical touch and emotional connections to friends or loved ones. Number 15. Do victims fall foul of addictions in trying to cope or forget? Yes, many attempt to numb the pain or try to forget through alcohol, drugs, or promiscuity. Number 16. What are triggers? Triggers are things that remind us of traumatic events, smells, places, or pictures. Many war veterans experience them, as do victims of CSA. Number 17. Are people aware of their triggers? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. Triggers can be subtle, and the person may not realise they are being affected, even though they are. Number 18. Do survivors allow themselves to be placed back into sexually abusive situations, or even seek them out? Many consciously, many subconsciously. The root cause is about them trying to either be in control this time, thereby undoing the past, or more subconsciously, it's about reenacting a time or situation that provided some dysfunctional feeling or outcome. Number 19. Do victims stay the course in their recovery? Sadly, many give up, especially in the early stages when the pain can be strongest. Certain setbacks, completely common to many, can cause others to stop. Others lose heart or strength after a long period of recovery. Number 20. Is forgiveness part of the healing and recovery path for all? For Christians, ideally, yes. We are guided to, in our way and in our time. For non-Christians or people that do not profess to have a faith, there is still value in forgiveness as it releases them from the angst, as it does for the believer. Forgiveness is not about the abuser and whether they deserve forgiveness or not. It's about us releasing the hold that unforgiveness has over our hearts. Number 21. Is it possible for good to come out of the abuse or for positive things to occur? We can help others as we go on our own journey. There's a Bible verse that can have power if you allow it to. It's Romans chapter 8, verses 28 to 29, which says, "And we know that God causes everything to work together for the good of those who love God." Number 22. If victims or survivors talk about their CSA, why do they? To help others. To help themselves through the strength gained in telling others. That's certainly true for me. Number 23. Does the memory of the abuse eventually disappear? Not normally. Try forgetting the alphabet. The impact of the memories can, however, fade over time. Number 24. Will the abuse always affect us or be with us? If we progress in our recovery, the effects can get less over time. Like a physical scar, the abuse effects should fade over time. We may have inherent vulnerabilities, but knowing those helps us live fuller, less affected lives. And here's the last one, number 25. Is it possible to change our thinking, reactions, and actions that arose from the abuse? Yes, with work. There are, of course, many other questions about CSA, and one can always dig deeper in such responses and outcomes. This message is about covering some of those common elements. In my interactions with other male survivors, they have found learning about those foundational shared experiences, fears, reactions, and understandings to be immensely helpful. It helps with the "I'm not alone" feeling, and there's incredible power in that. I go into more detail about all of these issues in the three main streams of content on this channel. They are awareness, recovery, and thriving. Thank you for joining me with this content. It's always my intention that this helps you or helps you to help others. In addition to other content like this, I wanted to make sure you know that I have an introduction clip and also my personal testimony. I encourage you to hit the subscribe button and the bell icon so that you are notified when additional content is available. Perhaps a little strange on a channel like this is the like button, but I'd ask you to press that if you have found the content helpful. I hope you join me again soon.